Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey Andy, hey Ann, hey Mickey. Hello Peter, long time no see. Hey Matt,
Yeah.
and we have Catherine. Thank you. Folks, if you can open the chat on your Teams thing, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Lux Narayan, co-founder and CEO here at Stream Alive, and delighted so many of you could join us today. If you can just type in the Teams chat as to where you're joining from, that would be splendid. So just open up the chat on Teams, nothing else that you need to do, and just type where you're joining from. Like at this point, I'm just going to fly around the world and see what is there. We got Peter here, got folks here. I'm going to play around with different map styles at my end as well. So I like the pencil style too. Let's see what comes up here. We got Peter in Reading, where it's a nice 65 degrees Fahrenheit. In the UK, you go with centigrade, so we're going to change that. Whoa, it's cold. All right. Clear
It's
skies.
always cold in the UK.
4 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's see who we've got stateside. So I'm on the east coast of the US in New Jersey, and Andy, hello from the same time zone. Oh, we do Fahrenheit here, so you've okay. You got Florida weather there. Uh, we got Calkin in Virginia Beach. All right. Who else do we have? We've got Anne Marie in Wisconsin and Mickey at Grapevine, Texas. All right. And see what else we have here. We got someone in Portland. Who's in Portland? Matt is in Portland. Welcome, Matt. Thank you for joining us. It's 8 o'clock in the morning for you. Very good morning to you. And good afternoon to our friends in the UK. Good evening, very late evening, in fact, to Duncan in Shillong, where it's 8:30 in the evening, and Igno in South Africa, where it's 74. And what time is it there? Oh, 5 o'clock in the evening. All right. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us at all these different times from all these beautiful places. Those of you who've seen Streamalive's Magic Maps are probably familiar with this particular feature, which visualizes the chat in real time. You can do it as a comic themed map. You can do it as a very dark Batman inspired map. You can make it look like an architect's blueprint. And of course, you can go all 3D and literally spin the world around with your four fingers on your mouse over here and fly around and do exactly what I was doing and pull up Duncan and Shillong, talk about the beautiful places you have in Shillong, amazing waterfalls. By the way, Shillong is close to Cherrapunji and Mausunram, which are the rainiest places on planet Earth. And if I didn't know those things, I could just scroll down here and look at it and talk about each of these places. But geography, weather, time of the day are things that connect us, especially in this distributed world, as so many of us join from so many different places. And I think it's always nice to take a few minutes to acknowledge that and have conversations around that, right? So again, for those of you who just joined us, welcome. Quick introduction. I'm Laks Narayan, co-founder and CEO at Stream Alive, and we're demonstrating Stream Alive today in Microsoft Teams, which is the second time we're doing it because usually we do these external webinars on Zoom, but we realized a lot of our users use Stream Alive on Teams and want to know how exactly that works. And that's what we want to show you over here in today's session. We're kicking it off with the demo right away with my favorite feature, which is Magic Maps, which is one of many visual interactions that Stream Alive supports. So there are maps, there are polls, there are word clouds, open-ended polls, tiles that fall down like a Tetris game, thought bubbles that give the illusion of peeking into your audience's mind one person at a time, emojis everywhere that encourages people to unleash their inner child and only react using pictures and emojis, rating polls that allow people to say on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, what do you think of the session, or other questions. Winning Wheel, which automatically picks up people's names based on participation. Quiz, which is our newest feature. Still going through a few initial tweaks and everything, and it will get better every single day, every single week. We push updates almost twice a week, but quiz is the most recent thing we push. Quick questions, which automatically captures questions from the chat. So if anybody has questions, please just put them in the chat anytime you want, and Streamalive's AI will, if it smells like a question, even if you don't put a question mark, and please don't bother putting Q colon or any of those things, just ask a question as you would ask a question. It should be pulled up automatically by Streamalive. So we'll see a few of these features. We won't see all of them, but we will play around and look at a lot of these things, right? So I'm just going to go through a few things over here. I have a couple more questions for you. And my next question is, I just want to get a sense of how much I need to dive into what in today's session. So if you can just type a one or a two or a three or a four and in the chat to give me a sense of where you are in terms of how familiar you are with Stream Alive, that would be fantastic. Right. So again, just put it in the chat, please. And beautiful. We've got some seen it as an audience, never as a presenter. By the way, if you've used our Zoom app and you're beta testing the PPT add-in, you can just say 4, 5 or 4 and 5. Streamalive is intelligent enough to figure out all of those things. So there's nobody here who's never seen it in action, which is good. I am going to go less with the demo part in that case. There are a few of you who've seen it as an audience, but never as a presenter. So I'll be sure to touch upon how it works as a presenter. Quite a few of you have used it on the web app and the Zoom app. None of you have beta tested the PPT add-in, so I'll be sure to show you that because I just put a post earlier today on LinkedIn giving a preview of it, and I can tell you more about how that works because I'm super excited about how this will be hugely transformational for PowerPoint as we've seen it in the last 38 years. Good segue into talking about exactly that. And again, our philosophy, as some of you who use the application know, is to unmute the audience and to make presentations conversations. I mean, this is my first slide in how long are we into this? We are 8 minutes into this presentation, and this is my first talking slide. So the first 7 minutes has really been me listening, and that's our core philosophy. We think presentations need to be conversations, and presenters shouldn't just be talking; they should be listening so that it feels like a conversation that you're having, even if it's a one-to-many session. Why is that important? Because it's 38 years since we've been doing one-way presentations. I love PowerPoint. It helped me get my first job in the mid 90s and continues to serve me very, very well. But I think we've devolved into or defaulted into just doing one-way presentations all the time because that's kind of what we do with PowerPoint, right? I'm saying PowerPoint a lot, but I'd love to get a sense on what you use to create your slides. My assumption is PowerPoint is pretty strong. Let's see if that's right or wrong. So again, if you've used any of these in the last 12 months, just put, if you use PowerPoint and Keynote, put a one and two or a one ampersand two or a one comma two. We've got quite a few keynotes. Okay, we've got a lot of Mac users in the house. We've got one and threes. We've got a lot of Google Slides. Nobody using Gamma so far. So in which case, I'm not going to show you how Streamalive works with Gamma. I have that loaded up. Oh, I spoke too soon. We have someone who's using Gamma. Who's that? Good. Tina's using Gamma. Igno is using Gamma. So we'll touch upon it. The majority of you, not surprisingly, are using PowerPoint. And there are some of you using other presentation apps, whereas Canva, other presentation apps. I'm going to go off script at this point. So I'm just going to ask you a question. I'm not even going to type the question. I'm just going to say, okay, what are the other apps that you use besides the ones that I've listed over here? So hold your horses, folks. If you can just type in the chat anything I did not mention. So if so I think some of you said Prezi and stuff. Do you mind just retyping that again, please? Figma, Prezi, Canva. Absolutely. So Figma, great if you're into design and using it already. I'm a huge Prezi fan. I love it. I love how they name their features. The transformation zebra I thought was the most hilarious name for a feature to scale and rotate. Canva, yes, of course. All right, so Canva, Prezi, Figma slides. Okay, that gives me a good sense of the other platforms that we use. But again, going back here, PowerPoint seems by and far the leader over here, right? And yes, now we have a whole bunch of new AI tools helping us with automating slide creation, creating better slides, prettier templates, that first stab at what you want to say, whether it's Gamma or PowerPoint and Copilot, and I'm sure you use some of these. But I think there are still issues that need to be solved. And rather than, put words in your mouth. I would love to know your opinion. So I'm looking for a word. What's the first word that comes to your mind? And put, if you know, more words come, put them as separate chat comments. In a word, most presentations are fill in the blanks. Put one word, please, and be candid, be honest. What do you think of most presentations you attend? Most presentations that you do? Informational, absolutely. Boring, digital, yes, absolutely. A lot more online and in person. Static, yes. Overloaded, static, boring, digital, informational, interactive. Yes, I think, yes, some of them are, and I wish more of them were. There are a lot of linear presentations, absolutely. We're just going to have a bit of fun with your permission over here. I'm just curious to, if I were to capture all of these responses which you gave in an image, I'm just curious about what it's going to look like. So I'm going to transform your responses to this specific question into an image and just see what kind of comes up over here. So, all right, that's interesting. That looks like a pretty explosive presentation over here. So that's an image created on the fly based on your responses to this specific question on, in a word, most presentations are. And I can assure you that this image was never created in the history of presentations. It will never be created again because we're not going to have this unique combination of people and responses and AI creating this over here, which I think is the gist of what we're doing here today. We think more presentations need to be I'm a big fan of comedy, and all of us approach presentations like stand-up comedians. Every second, every minute, every 2 minutes is rehearsed and scripted. I think it's beautiful if we start approaching it a bit more like improv comedians, where it's a bit of improvisation, it's a bit of riffing with the audience, it's a bit of, I don't know where this is going to take us because I don't know who's in the room and what we want to do, and going with the flow, so to speak. And this is a great example of that, right? So a lot of things that you said were about monologues, and most presenters go talk, 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 talk through presentations, and that's really what we want to change. And as you've seen, we use AI to turn passive chat, in this case, the Teams chat. Day before yesterday, I was doing exactly this on the Zoom chat, and because my colleague Peter here in our marketing team wants me to do it every week. Every Tuesday, I'm going to do a Zoom session. Every Thursday, I'm going to do a team session. But the good news is each week I have something new to show because my amazingly talented team keeps developing new features. So you'll see new things each time. And this time it's kind of everything that we've gotten so far. So we're going to cover a lot of ground. But the gist of Stream Alive is it allows you to have a conversation. And the most important thing is it's absolutely frictionless for the audience. I did not have to tell you anything besides put it in the chat, right? So again, our philosophy is what it says here: unmute the audience and do it in the simplest way possible, which in this case is chat on Teams. If this was Zoom, it would be chat on Zoom. If this were Google Meet, it would be chat on Google Meet. So the big thing we've done is instead of asking people to go to a product, we take product to the people, right? Quick recap on why we started Stream Alive. So, in the pandemic, for various reasons, including a personal family emergency, I took a break for some time, used my newfound free time to write this book. It looks like a children's book. It's not, it's a fable for adults. It's called Name, Place, Animal, Thing. And it's about giving better answers when people ask you that existential question. So what do you do? Right. So that's the gist of the book. But the reason I bring up the book is I didn't know anything about writing a book. If you ever read my book, you might say I still don't, but that's besides the point. I binged on 6 online courses that I paid for, and over the course of about 2 to 3 months, I attended 56 live sessions, mostly Zoom, some on Google Meet, some on Facebook Live, and at least one on YouTube Live because there were 1,200 people and they did not want to splurge on a Zoom webinar license. So class sizes from 11 to 1,200 people, and one of the three things on the right would happen. The first, the presenter would just keep going, talk, 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 talk. People wait for a recording that is supplied the next day, and then they watch the recording at their own time and space at 1.5 times the speed because there's no difference between the recorded experience and the live experience. So why not just speed it up and watch it, which is the first thing that would happen. The second is one where a presenter would ask a question like what I asked in the beginning of this, where I was asking all of you, hey folks, where are you joining from? And then I say, oh, we got Peter in Reading, we got Duncan in Shillong, and I ignore the other 16 people who very kindly put an answer out there, which is weird. You don't ask people questions and ignore their answers, but we do it in one-to-many scenarios because, hey, what else can we do, right? So not seeing people's answers and not acknowledging them is the second thing I noticed. And the third, which in my opinion is the most self-sabotaging one, is one where the presenter would say, hey, folks, this is an interactive session. I know you're all on your laptops, but I want you to go out and get your phones, bring your phones out here, scan this QR code I've gotten over here, and come on, tell me what you had for breakfast, right? That's a lot of effort to type the word bagels. And second, guess what? The moment you send a person and give them permission to use this device in the middle of your session, you've just set yourself up to compete with TikTok, the news, and the latest promo and message that they've gotten on their phone. So good luck with competing with all that or any game that is there. Why would we self-sabotage our sessions by asking people to go to their phones when they're already on one electronic device? If they're in person, yes, that's the only thing you can do because they're not on their laptops. But if they're on Teams or Zoom or Google Meet, why not use what is already existing instead of sending them off device to some other thing? Because in all those cases, the chat was super active. And that's the gist of what we do at Stream 11. A lot of you, I'm just going to go back to that poll that we ran a little while back. A lot of you have used it on the web app, have used it on the Zoom app. So I'm kind of preaching to the choir over here. So I'm not going to go too much into explaining Streamalize philosophy and all of it because a lot of you already know about it, right? So in a nutshell, we want to stop one-way presentations, unmute the audience, and make the chat stream alive. I'm just going to stop for a second and see if we have any questions here. Where's Canva? We talked about that, gave you an opportunity to put Canva. Do we get a report of the quiz results? Quiz is a new feature. Report is not yet there, would happen down the line. Will there be a test at the end of this? Not yet, Peter, but we should start doing that, right? I think we should. Good idea. From next week on or the week after that, once we roll out everything on quizzes, we will have tests. And maybe we should give out merch as prizes and stuff. Yes. Andy, great question. Does this only work if you are the host of the meeting? Yes and no. I hate to answer questions with a yes and no, but I'm going to actually use this as a segue to tell you what is happening. So I'm going to switch tracks here, escape from this, and show you what I did about a couple of minutes before you folks joined the webinar. This is my Streamer Live dashboard. I opened this webinar, which is the one I'm taking you through. This is my presentation. And what I did was I said I want to present this, all right? I could preview it, which would show me a simulation, or I could choose where I want to present. And what I did before the session was go to present. On Tuesday, I clicked on Zoom, but today being Thursday, which is our Teams day, I clicked on Teams. And as you can see, it gives me two choices here. I selected my meetings here where I said, I'm doing a Streamer Live demo on Teams at 11 o'clock Eastern today, and that's the one I want to connect with. So I selected this. I'm not going to select it now because I already have a presentation running on Teams, but that's all I did. And once that happened, Streamer Live knew that it needs to read the chat on this message. Now, the reason Streamer Live is able to show me this is because I've authorized Streamer Live to read my Teams calendar. And it's also because I'm the host of this meeting. So in this case, yes, it would only work if I'm the host of the meeting. Now, that works in most cases because it's the host who's presenting and running Stream Alive, but it does not work in all cases. And therefore, we recently introduced this second option, which is still it's still its early days, but what you could do is enter the same Teams link that all of you clicked to join the meeting, put that in here, and Stream Alive would in that case join the meeting as a bot and read the chat. Very soon, we're going to launch an app inside the Microsoft Teams App Store. We had one for some time, then we removed it because we wanted to make it even better. And that is going to replicate this functionality as well. So we're looking at multiple ways that one can use. The most robust one, if you're the host of the meeting, is to just connect it to the Meetings API, which is what happens when you connect Streamlio to your calendar. A second option is to use the bot, for which you need not be the host of the meeting. And hopefully that answers your question. Yes, Peter.
I'd say a third way is the in-person app. So if like the host doesn't want any bots joining, then you could possibly do it as a in-person and send people to the browser chat.
Great point. Thank you for mentioning that. So what Peter is referring to is what we call the Streamer Live powered chat, where other online platforms that are not natively supported or in person. In those cases, yes, someone could scan a QR code and participate through that. Not our preferred method, because if someone is on Teams, we don't want someone to be using their phone as well for all the reasons I mentioned earlier. But if you so prefer, that is also an option that people could do. So yes, indeed. So multiple ways, depending on what works best for you. We have people using all of these ways that I told you. So that is also a quick segue into what exactly is happening over here with Stream Alive. I'm going to go back to my presentation over here because I've got the quiz here, but we're not going to go into the quiz today because I want to ensure we cover other ground. But I'll just show you what the quiz thing looks like for those of you who've not seen it. We're still working on the leaderboard. It's not perfect, but it's going to be something like this, where I could ask a question. We're going to add a lot more bells and whistles and sounds and confetti and things. So very early cut. But if you were to read this rather verbose long question and the rather verbose long options and just type 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the chat, if it doesn't matter if you give the right answer or not. So I've gotten one answer so far. Somebody who said option 2 is the correct one. I've gotten two options now. So somebody else who's chosen some other option. So if you folks can put on more options, it allows me to go over things. So we're changing the flow of this a little bit, which is why I'm not doubling down on this demo. It's going to change a lot by this time next week. And finally, we would reveal how many people answered each option. We would show the correct answer.
I got that
And
wrong. I didn't even know this.
now you do. And heads up, we're probably going to run the same quiz next week. So you can remember the answer. We'll shuffle it around so you don't just type number 2. We'll just make it an option 3 or something like that. So just to make life difficult. The leaderboard doesn't work at this point, but what should happen after this is it would show a leaderboard of how many points everybody has. People who answer faster get more points, and people who answer slower get less points. And the points are cumulative over multiple questions. So I could ask a second question, I could go to a second leaderboard, and so on and so forth, right? So we'll do more quizzes going forward. But I do want to show you the rest of Stream Alive very quickly as well, how it helps you plan for engagement. Increase engagement is very simple. Ask people questions, acknowledge their answers. How we help you analyze engagement, lots of reports. And I often find a lot of our users are not aware of the power of the reporting that we have on the platform. Like yesterday, I spoke to a power user of ours who uses the platform multiple times a week, and unfortunately they'd gotten so used to receiving the email reports in their inbox that they hadn't gone to the web-based reporting for a very long time and missed out on a whole bunch of things. So part of what I do in these sessions is just make sure you're seeing everything that is possible in Stream Alive. The fact that you can visualize a map in multiple ways, you can make things into images, you can summarize things, and we'll talk about all that. And the fact that the AI helps make your job easier. A lot of you have seen the winning wheel, which you can. I think I put this up for anyone who participates, who types something in the text. But if I were to change the settings here into anybody who participated with at least 2 comments. If I say at least 5 comments, it's going to show me a lesser number of names. If I say anybody who's put in 8 comments, it's just 3 people. If I say anybody who's put in 1 comment, it's really everybody who's participated in the session right from the beginning. But the big benefit here, and a lot of people use our spinners every day for every one of their sessions, is that you don't need to type all these names over here. The wheel is auto-populated based on criteria or conditions that you stipulate. And all I'm saying here is anybody who participated I could say anyone who participated in this interaction or this interaction or this interaction. I could also say anybody who types in a particular keyword, and I encourage you to type a keyword, and that would populate the wheel in real time. But for now, I'm just going to go with anyone who put in 1 comment, and I'm going to spin the wheel. I don't know if Teams shares sounds, but it's playing a sound at my end. Confetti. Peter, and it tells you what Peter typed as well. So Peter said this, he talked about digital Figma slides, where's Canva. So it just gives me a sense on all the things that Peter typed in the session so far. If I wanted to call out Peter and talk about things that Peter did, and the fact that he's very insistent that we have a test at the end of this, right? And now if I don't want Peter to crop up again, I can just knock off Peter from this list and spin the wheel again to get another name, which will not be Peter unless we have 2 Peters in the session. And then we have Matt. And then I want to see what Matt answered to the different questions. Again, this is something we're improving. I'm not too thrilled with the way it shows the responses that people put in, but at least lets you see what people said through the session, right? Because right now I need to say, okay, what is three? What is it in response to, and so on and so forth. But work in progress. Yeah. I would love some help. If all of you can just chime in with a hobby, we are going to simulate a live session for one of your hobbies. And type any hobby you have currently, or you had as a kid, or you'd love to have. It does not matter. Any hobby, please. Photography is beautiful. Oh, we got multiple people saying photography. Maybe we should do photography. Igno, Andy, if you want to add a little more color to that, pun intended, if you want to say what kind of photography we're talking about, let's torture our AI by doing something more specific. Are we talking, portraiture? Are we talking landscape photography? Are we doing fast motion photography? Let's go with one of those, right? So give me a bit more color on if you're doing a live session tomorrow about teaching photography, what kind of photography would it be about? So you can just type in the chat again, please. Photographing story moments, beautiful pictures that tell stories. I'm going to go with that, and a combination of landscapes, sunsets. Oh wow, okay. Maybe let's do both. Let's do photographing story moments and landscapes just to keep everybody happy. If I wanted to do a more democratic, random process, what I might do is we're changing this right now. I'm going to venture and see if it works. I could create a winning wheel based on the responses. Yeah, it's we're just changing some configuration here, but it would pick everybody who answered that question and allow me to pick up one person at random. But right now, I'm going to go with photographing story moments and landscapes as a topic for our AI. Peter, you good with that?
Yeah, let's see what it comes up with.
Let's do it. So we're going into Stream Alive. I can assure you I know very little about photography, as anyone who's been at the receiving end of my camera can tell. And I'm going to pretend I'm running a live session on what was the exact text again? Photographing story moments and landscapes. All right. Photographing story moments and landscapes. We're being greedy here. We're combining two different topics. I'm going to just create an audience over here. I'm going to say the audience are, uh, what should we say, Peter? Give me an audience here to make it fun.
Children.
Children. Are children allowed phones and photo and cameras, or?
Yeah. Can
All
you
right.
imagine the chaos that would happen?
Okay. We are running a photography workshop on photographing story moments and landscapes for children. And it's saying, okay, here are some questions you could ask them. What city have you visited that had the most beautiful landscapes? What do you feel when you see a beautiful landscape? Describe your favorite place to take photos. What do you love capturing the most? Place you'd capture. Why is it special to you? What should we focus on capturing today? Give an emoji. I'm just gonna select all of these in the interest of time, add them into my presentation. I've created a 15 slide presentation that has 15 slides that will listen and no slides that will talk. If I had talking slides, I just need to import them as PDFs, which is the biggest pain point for a lot of Streamalive users saying, I don't want to import PDF. I have PowerPoint slides that have embeds and animations, and they're the most advanced PowerPoint slides known to man. And great news, you can now take Stream Alive into your PowerPoint, and I want to make sure we have time for me to show you that. But right now, let's get my deck into Stream Alive. So, I'm just going to get this image file actually that I had, and we're going to pretend this is a slide about aperture and photography and all of that. Ignore what it actually says. So this is my talking slide. I got a bunch of listening slides, and all I need to do if I were to run this photography workshop on this team session is just say I want to run it on this particular teams or wherever I want to run it, like we discussed earlier. But that's not what we're going to do right now. Since we're already running something on the team session, we're going to do something different. We are going to preview this session to get a sense of what this beautiful session is going to look like, right? So it is simulating a live session. This is the presenter screen. I could make it bigger, so I could say open it in full screen view. I could also open what we call simulated platform view. So multiple views. not to confuse you, but give you a sense of how everything works. So over here, it's telling me that if my session were running in, let's say, Zoom, this is kind of how it would look. People would be typing in the Zoom chat, like you folks very kindly did a little while back. Not Zoom, you did it on Teams. So this is kind of what it looks like on Teams. People are typing in the Teams chat. Streamalive visualizes it. Presenter shows screen to audience. Audience sees their responses visualized in real time. Everybody feels happy. Everybody feels like participating. And YouTube, very similar. Google Meet, very similar. Peter mentioned the in-person thing. And the way that works is people scan a QR code, which is the only instance where we encourage using a QR code and your phones. And they would be in what looks like a WhatsApp chat. Again, they are connected with each other. It's not like you're just answering a question sitting in a silo. You are connected with everybody else participating through the chat. Chat is connective. Chat strings us all together, right? And it's beautiful in the way it does that. So you could connect to this chat and answer the questions in a very similar way, but everything would show up on the presenter screen, which is kind of what would look like this. And all the presenter is doing is hitting next, 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 and people are typing answers. So, hey, which city or country have you visited? And you're getting all these answers. You're acknowledging people's responses as they type. Again, these are AI generated simulated answers. And then I talk about, look at this beautiful camera. It's amazing. It's a Nikon, it's a Canon, and I talk about stuff. And then I say, okay, in a word, what do you feel when you see a beautiful landscape? And people say awe and serenity. And I would be very surprised if children say awe and serenity and inspiration and all of those things, but we'll go with it for a second right now. I can convert all of these into an image right now if I wanted to have a bit of fun and give the kids something to take back as a visual reminder of this beautiful session on photography. And it will create an image in real time. And just going to, oops, here it is, here it is. It's coming, it's coming. And all right. Perfect. So in a world, what do you feel in a world, what do you feel when you see a beautiful landscape? And all those responses are captured in this one beautiful picture. Not happy with it, generate a new image, right? I could ask a more nuanced question, like, what's your favorite place to take photos and why is it special to you? And I'm just going to take a sip of coffee as you see the kind of responses that we are pretending children are going to write in a session. Maybe they will. They surprise us all the time. But at this time, between my coffee and looking at all these things, I've not had the time to kind of see what's happening, right? No worries. I can use AI to summarize all these beautiful responses and say, okay, folks, I want to summarize everything that all 20 of you have said so far. And let's get a summary of your response to my question. Again, this is a feature a lot of people don't know exists in Stream Alive. The ability to summarize an audience in real time and have a one-to-many conversation that goes beyond raise your hands if you agree. What do you like, apples, oranges, or bananas? Answer this poll. Ask people open-ended questions. Summarize their responses. Like this is what people said, right? What is the popular opinion? Okay, 50% roughly say landscapes are their favorite places. They talk about this. Susie talks about sunset beaches. Charlie's favors mountain lakes. Alternative voices, 20 to 30% prefer urban or man-made thing. By the way, fun fact for some of you who might have noticed, all the participants in this AI generated session is a little inside joke here at Stream Alive are all Hollywood and Bollywood actors. That's why you have Charlie's and Hugh and Susie and all of these people and Harrison Ford and everybody participating over here. So we're mighty chuffed about it. But you get the idea, a lot of interactions that you can run. And again, I'm just going to flip through this to show you the canvas of possibilities. Spinning wheels, we saw that. This is a huge favorite in various places, encouraging people only to answer with emojis. Literally brings out the child in everybody. Asking people on a scale of 1 to 5, how do you enjoy learning about photographing? Not so good, great, calculates a real-time average, and so on. I'm just going to switch tracks here. I've been going through a lot of things just to see if any of you have questions. I'm going to go into my live session back here, which is the actual live one we have. And where was the questions tab over here? Here we are. All right, so I'm just going to talk about these questions. Does it only work if you're the host of the meeting? For Teams, one part works only if you're the host of the meeting, but for Zoom, other platforms, everything, it does not matter if you're the host of the meeting or not. And for Teams as well, you can have a bot. We talked about that. All calendars of all attendees know only the host or organizer who needs to give permission if you want to use the API based thing for Teams. Otherwise, if you use a bot, it just joins as a bot, which is like your Fathom or any of the other bots you might have used for recording a call. Natively integrated into Zoom, absolutely. Glad you asked. So if you go to Zoom, it has an app marketplace of 3,063 apps. Very, very happy to report that if you see their featured AI apps, Streamalive is, or rather was, hopefully it still is, yes, number one featured AI app, number one featured employee engagement app, and number one app for education. So all you would do if you wanted to use everything within Zoom and never have to leave Zoom is go in here, add this to your account, and then run Streamalive entirely within Zoom, in which case all your existing presentations that you created on your web application would be available within Zoom as well, right? Of course, if you're using PowerPoint, that's a different methodology, but if you just want to run interactions inside of Zoom, you can absolutely do that. Let me go back to the questions you had. So, all right. Peter wants to make my life difficult by asking me to demo every possible modality over here. Fortunately, no one said yes, I think, but can you do anonymous things? Oh, okay. That's a great question. So it depends on how you're configuring your chat. So on Zoom, sometimes we actually have some people who run therapy sessions using Streamer Live on Zoom. And for obvious reasons, they don't want everyone to see everyone's responses. And in that case, what you would do is very simply make responses in the Zoom chat only be visible to the host or organizer. I'm not familiar with if Teams has a similar setting. I would assume and hope it does, where people could chat only with the host or organizer, in which case Streamalive can read those messages by itself. But you would need to change the chat settings so that everyone can't see everybody else's responses. And the other thing you'd need to do is, let's say I'm doing something like the word cloud over here. I just need to, when I configure the word cloud, make sure I'm setting it in a way that does not show the comments overlay, so you don't know who answered what. And you can do that for almost every interaction. Like, for example, the one where I asked you about your hobbies, where is that? Sorry, I'm kind of jumping all over the place to use these crutches to answer your question. But over here, you see everybody's name. It tells me who answered which one. That's a user configurable setting. So you could, in the when you set up the question originally, say, I don't want to see username. And if I said, I don't want to see username, it would just show the responses without showing me the username. And if you set the chat in a way that everybody cannot see others' responses, you got exactly what you asked, which is the anonymized responses. So you would need to do a bit of configuration to ensure it happens, but it's pretty simple to do so. On Streamalive, on your Zoom thing and your Teams thing, it would depend on how you do it. So that's on how you do anonymity. Is there a way to get them back to discuss them? Oh, yes, I should have shown you this. Thank you so much for reminding me. So let me get them back to discuss them over here. So these are the blocks that you all answered. I'm just going to resume over here. But the moment I stop or pause on the block, it kind of pulls up everything that people answered. And at this point, I can scroll through it and look at all the responses. So I'm actually scrolling through all your responses at this point, which allows me to see everybody's responses to that particular question. All right. And sorry, a lot of dancing around, but hopefully it helps. Let's go back to the question. And yes, how did you activate the summary slide? I'll show you once again. If you're a web page streamer account, yes, you just need to pay. I mean, if you have a paid account, anywhere else you use it, whether it's in the Zoom app or the PowerPoint add-in, which we will jump into in about 2 minutes from now, everywhere you're recognized by your thing. So it's not like you need to pay for each and every one of your instances. It's like your license is respected across different form factors. So if you have a web paid thing, all of this is just different ways, different vessels into which you want to post stream alive, so to speak, right? You already paid for the contents. Let's switch tracks here. You had a question on how do you activate the summary slide, and very, very important because, like I said, a lot of people miss it. So if I were to go back to the summary slide over here, it's paused now. I'm just going to resume it. Right, so people are giving these different responses. So again, there's a lot of magic that is there in the bottom over here. So please explore it, from a simple timer to going full screen to pausing interactions to putting sounds or not putting sounds, right? So for example, you can configure this to have disappearing sounds and stuff. But for the summary, it's these two things. The first one is a summary, text summary. So if I click on this, it's going to generate the AI summary of the responses. Again, People who use it just fall in love with this because it's a new way to communicate at scale with a large audience. People who don't, unfortunately, never discover it till they attend a session like this or accidentally discover it. Turning it into images is very simple. You would click on it and it would generate an image over here, right? It uses AI credits for these things. At this point, we're being pretty liberal with the AI credits and plan to continue in some way, but there'll be some currency around how many images and stuff that we would enforce going forward. But right now, you can just use the AI credits and the summary credits to do all of these things. Hopefully that covers all the questions. Did I do it? Yes, yes, yes. So we did this. I hope I answered your question, Andy, and your other one as well. Cool. I'm going to put this on unanswered questions now so that I can only look at questions, new ones that come in, and I don't have to scroll through the whole list. And by the way, your questions were in three buckets. You had technology questions. I could have adjusted them that way. So the AI also auto categorizes them. Communication questions, and you had assessment questions because Tina and Peter want reports and tests. Right? And I've answered all the questions. I have no unanswered questions. And let's go to new territory. So I want to show you, so far I've been showing you the Streamline web application and everything it can do. And now what we're going to do is something totally different. I'm going to jump into PowerPoint and just share with you something we announced very, very recently, still building out. It's not publicly available. There is a private beta available, which just went into public beta today. And if you would like to play around with this, just Peter, if you can put the link, please, on the chat for this page, which is streamalive.com/listen, which includes a 2-minute video of me sharing what I'm about to show you in a very succinct way. And you can sign up there for exclusive beta access. So what are you signing up for? Let me show you. We built an add-in in the world of PowerPoint where all you would need to do is literally, I'm going to go to a new slide over here. Let's go to, I have a PowerPoint presentation over here, which is about mastering artificial intelligence and increasing your AI IQ. I don't actually make presentations like this. I'm just pretending I'm a trainer who trains people on getting better with AI, right? My Wi-Fi is a little slow. It's taking a little time to refresh, but these are all regular PowerPoint slides. You can see them on the left-hand side. Regular PowerPoint slides. I've got a, what is it, 14 slide deck that finally ends with AI and lifelong learning. Now, this is a talk 14 times slide. I want to make it a talk, listen, engaging conversation. So I can go into anything here, a blank thing here, and simply say, I want to insert an interaction. So this, as you can see, it says private because it's in beta. It's not publicly available. I've got multiple versions that I'm testing. That's why I have multiple ones. But in about a week from now, we will have this on the Microsoft App Store, which is, for those of you who are familiar, appstores.microsoft.com, where if you were to go there and type Stream Alive, it would show you this particular PowerPoint app. Right now, it does not show you anything, but that will change in about a week from now. So you'll be able to go there and search for what I'm showing you right now. But let me show you how it works. I'm going to insert this interaction in here. And what it does at that point is I need to make it bigger, needless to say. And now I've got what looks very familiar, but with a few tweaks. It takes you by default to what we call the interaction screen, because maybe you know what you want to ask on this slide. Maybe I know I want to ask people where you're joining from, and I just need to add, for those of you who are major PowerPoint geeks, I apologize for the second P not being capitalized. It will be changed. PowerPoint is always written with power P capital and point P capital. A small thing we missed out there, but that's why it's in beta. But if I were to click on this, it would insert a magic map slide in here. So what would happen is I simply say insert a map in here, and I could ask a question, or if I were to do a different one, for example, I'll just go with a different one over here. Oops, I seem to have broken something. What did I do? Oh, cancel. Let's go back. Let's go back here. I think I put my default settings for the magic maps a little dark. It doesn't show too well here. So let me go with something that looks a little better. Let's go with the word cloud. Let me add a word cloud here. And let's say, what is your favorite snack? Right? I'm asking people a very deep question like, what is your favorite snack? And it inserts it in here. And all I need to do, let's assume I had 5 other interactions like this in my deck. All I need to do is very simply connect it like before, any one of the interactions. So pick any interaction and tell it where it needs to read. And once this interaction knows that it's reading from Zoom or Teams or wherever, and it's like before, it would just pull up your existing meetings. I could connect it to this one here, but I will not because we already have something connected. Once it's connected, it kind of tells its friends, which is every single other Stream Alive interaction that you have inside this PowerPoint deck, that, hey, Lux wants us to read from this meeting. And all of them automatically start reading from the same meeting as well. So it works exactly like you saw earlier, but the interactions populate inside a PowerPoint slide, which, fun fact, is the first time in its 38-year history that a slide will be authored by the audience typing in Zoom or chat or Teams or wherever, which is fantastic if you think of it, because slides have always been for talking. And this is the first time a slide will be for listening. What will it look like? Let me show you a preview because we've put in AI here as well. So if you want to see a preview of what's going to happen when I ask this question on what is your favorite snack, uh, people are going to answer. Let's stop this and let's start it again. We reset it and see what happens. Right, something's broken over here, which again is why it's on beta. We're constantly changing things every day, but it would populate with answers that people put in the chat and show that over here, right? I want to show you one other thing, which is that sometimes you may not know what interaction to run. And in those cases, there's a lot of interesting stuff here where I could say, okay, I want to create a new presentation and I want AI to read my entire deck. So what it's going to do here is, hopefully it works fine because I'm making tweaks, but it's going to read every slide that I have in my deck and come up with a recommendation on interactions that I could add to my presentation on AI. And let's see if it actually does. Otherwise, I got a backup of what I did earlier this morning and to show you. No, it worked. So it's saying, hey, Lux, why don't you kick it off by asking people after slide 1 where they're joining from? And then after slide 5, why don't we ask people your AI experience at work? And then after slide 9, let's see what slide 9 is, just to make sure if it's making sense. Slide 9 is everyday AI at home. And what is recommending here is that after slide 9, let's ask people which AI tool do you use at home? And people might say Roomba and Alexa and other things and stuff, and we get a whole bunch of responses from people, right? How will you boost your AI IQ after slide 12? Because in slide 12, we're talking about how to increase your AI IQ. We're giving some things, and then we ask people, okay, so what of these are you going to follow? Which is a beautiful interaction. And then all I need to do is add the slide to PowerPoint. It gets added in there, and it becomes a part of my interaction. So the way this goes forward is, I showed you my presentation over here, which is the one I was taking you through. Too many tabs open. My apologies. Let's close this and go back to my presentations. I've got a new presentation here now, which is photographing story moments and landscapes. I got one more new presentation, AI training copy, which is what was created from reading my PowerPoint and auto-generating interactions. And this is the one I took you through earlier today. And you can see I have an interaction, I have an interaction, I have a static slide, I have a static slide, and I'm recreating all that inside my PowerPoint now. So I've got the interaction, I've got the same interaction, I've got a static slide, I've got a static slide, and the end result would simply be someone typing in the Teams or Zoom chat and that being visualized in my slide in real time, right? So we're super excited about this because everything we've built over the last couple of years, it's been a huge, I need to say that 5 more times, technical challenge to make it work inside of PowerPoint the way I'm showing you over here. And as you can see, there's still a few teething issues, which is why it's still in beta. But if you wish to try it out, don't use it in production environments yet. If you wish to try it out in the beta, just go to the URL that Peter mentioned in the chat, and we'd be happy to set you up with early beta access over here. Right? So I'm just going to go back to a couple of things. I forgot to show you analytics, and I mentioned a lot of people miss out on analytics. So after a session is over, Streamalive gives you these beautiful, amazing analytics, sends you an email report, which some of you have probably received because a lot of you said you've used the web application, but please go to the web app as well. And the way you come in here to reports is you come to the home screen and you click on reports. and that'll take you to reports. So this is a report I had kept loaded up from a session we did last year because we had a guest speaker and therefore I have access to this. It was our session, 44 people, 271 comments, lots of responses. To the interactions, you can see out of the 271, 209 were responses to the interactions. A lot of people were participating. The chat was on fire. The colored bars are when the speaker used Stream Alive in their 60-minute session. They used it multiple times, as you can see. And each time they used Stream Alive, the chat just exploded because people saw that their responses were not being ignored, were being counted, acknowledged, seen, heard. And that's a great catalyst to participate, right? What did the speaker ask people? She asked them where they're joining from. She asked them what they do. When she realized she had a lot of founders and marketers in the room, she asked them questions that you would ask founders and marketers. What's your biggest challenge of marketing without a budget? What superlatives would your brand use? What's a differentiator for your brand or service? So you had 44 people thinking and feeling like Jesse had had a one-to-one conversation with each and every one of them. And that's why you have all these vibrant pictures that Streamalive captured from the session, which Jessie can then share with her LinkedIn or download onto her newsletter. So again, there's a lot of power in the web version of analytics. We try and bring a bit of it into the email reports that come into your inbox, but it's technically very difficult to keep pace with everything we're putting up over here. So the most powerful version of analytics will be available on the web version. So please log into your accounts, check out the analytics if you've not already done that. Right. Um, let's go back to my presentation over here. Can this work within Notion? Perhaps down the line. And the reason I say that is so we're making a version of Streamalive soon, and this is stuff we've not publicly disclosed in our roadmap, but we're making a version that will work with apps like Gamma. I'm just going to jump into that to answer your question. So let's say I have this presentation on Gamma about mastering public speaking, right? I could insert a singular interaction inside that, like where are you joining from, right? I could talk about confronting the fear of public speaking and then ask people a question on a scale of 1 to 5. Would you rather play with spiders or would you seize the mic and then literally have an engaging interactive presentation? So everything you saw on PowerPoint, we're looking at doing it even with apps like Gamma. And what we're architecting here is the ability to take a singular interaction from your Stream Alive thing. So what I mean by that is, again, I'm going a little all over the place here, but looking at one of these interactions like this one, for example, if you right click on any interaction, it gives you an interaction link. So we're looking at making these an embeddable link as well. So right now it just allows you to copy the link and it would open as a new browser tab. But down the line, we might give you a copy embed code or something like that, which then in theory can be embedded inside a Notion as any other HTML document, because Notion allows, like Gamma, allows you to embed HTML and web pages and everything. So my belief is that it would work in a very, very similar way. Not started anything with Notion. I use Notion a lot. I haven't seen it being used a lot for presentations, but I think it's a use case we can support once we do the web-based interaction embed thing. Okay. So let's go back here. And what are the other unanswered questions? That's the question on Notion. Is this saved as a regular old PPTX file? Absolutely. Can I build it for other presenters to use? Oh, glad you asked. So we still, that's one thing which is confounding us a little bit, because yes, you can build it for other presenters, but it is login dependent. What I mean by that is this interaction over here, which I put, if you look at it, how familiar are you with Streamalive? I'm just going to show you how I pull that in. I basically went into my web application and pulled up this question that I already have in my thing, which is how familiar are you with Streamalive? So it's basically taking something I have already in my account and putting it in here, right? So if I were to add this in here, it becomes a part of this presentation. Now, if you were to create all those different presentations, like I think you indicated for other people within your company, the issue is it's reading off your account at that point. unless you were to go to each of those things and say, I'm using Peter's thing today, I log in as Peter and use Peter's interactions. Now, you could use your same interactions on each and every presentation. That's perfectly fine. But the catch is only one presentation can be presented at a time. So if you are presenting using your presentation and someone wants to change that or present at the same time, they cannot do it because there's already an active session. Right? I think Tina put in something there. It would be possible if Matt is a member of a team within a company. Tina, yes, but the team member can only moderate and edit a presentation, cannot present at the same time. So the same constraint of one active presentation at one given time would stay because I remember how I mentioned in this one when Stream Alive, when this connects to a session, it tells every other slide that it needs to connect to the same session. So Streamalive's architecture requires just one active session at a time. So that's going to be a constraint. So, but if you think you're not going to have more than one active session at the same time, you can by all means do exactly that. But everyone needs to be logged into the correct Streamalive account there. So yeah, a few clunky elements there, no ways around it because what you're doing is using somebody's Streamalive account inside of PowerPoint. So it's dependent on how you want to play that part of it. Hope I was able to answer the question to an extent. Um, how do you insert Streamalive into a blank PowerPoint presentation? Absolutely. So let's say at this point, I want to insert one more. My easy route here would be simply to duplicate an existing presentation. It sometimes breaks, but let's give it a shot. I've duplicated it and it's tried to duplicate that same interaction, is brought in the same interaction. And I say, nah, I don't want this one actually. I want something else from the same presentation. And I scroll down and pull something else that I might want over here and add that slide to PowerPoint. So one way is if you already have an existing interaction, just simply go in there and pull it in. Or the other way is suppose I didn't have anything and I had a blank slide over here. All I simply need to do is click on the add-in and click on this that beta users currently have and everybody will have in a week from now and insert it into my presentation and then resize it because this is beyond our control. Ironically, we cannot specify the size for these beyond a certain limit and it works differently with desktop and things. We optimize it for a size that will look lesser than the slide and everything, right? And then I just simply add an interaction in here. Suppose I wanted to add a talking tiles. I say I want to add this to PowerPoint. And I have a question like, what is the meaning of life? Hopefully with the right spelling. And it adds that interaction in there. Or I can just pull from something I already have. So this is an ad hoc interaction I'm running, or I could just create it from an existing presentation. I'm going to make sure I delete the slides so that I don't get surprised the next time I run this presentation. But yes, I mean, this is a regular PowerPoint presentation. I'm demoing it on PowerPoint online. It works with PowerPoint desktop as well. Right now, the desktop version has a bit of catching up to do with the online version. The online version will always be the most powerful version because it's on the web. Everything's on the web. It's easier. But I can do almost everything I did so far on the desktop version as well. We are almost up on the hour. Can you show how to insert? We just did that. We did this. And is this saved? We talked about that. And since it's showing me unanswered questions, the questions are disappearing as I answer them. In Teams, can you save the chat conversation? Great question. I don't know if we can. Candidly, I'm not as familiar with Teams as I am with Zoom. And I'm using these sessions also to learn about Teams, but hopefully I'll have a better answer for you next time around. In Zoom, I do know it's possible. In Teams, I think after each session, Teams saves the entire conversation onto a separate chat channel. Can it be exported onto a text file and stuff? I'm not too sure. Airtime. Can I import presentation slides into the application using PDF? You can import presentation slides using PDF into the Streamalive application on the web application. Again, not very familiar with Airtime. Peter, Tina, if you're more familiar, feel free to unmute and answer that if you have an answer. I'm not too familiar with that. Okay, so we got a few things that we got to learn. Thank you, Andy, for keeping us on our toes. We need to know how you can save chat conversation and about using it with airtime, and hopefully we'll have better answers if you join us in a future session, or otherwise just ask us in our forum or something down the line. Yeah. All right, we're a minute past 12 in my time zone. Thank you everybody for joining us. Lovely having you. We're going to do this every week. Hope to see you in future ones. It will be similar, but hey, each one is different because we don't know what responses we're going to get. This time, I can promise you, I had no clue I was going to do a session on photography for children about landscapes and special stories. And I don't know what's going to come up next time, but rest assured, we'll have more features to show you. Thank you so much for joining us. See you all.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you.
Excellent.